Aha. Put that to focus. The live is up. Live is up. Live is up. Welcome everybody. It's your man Chris is here, back with another video. Today is going to be Libra season. Today marks the first day of the fall. Summer is officially over. Today is Libra season. But as of right here, right now, depending on your location, it may not come for another couple of hours. If your location is EST, Libra season won't be until about 9 p.m. Around that time, you'll be exactly 0 degrees Libra. Now, let me just give you a quick breakdown of how astrology and the seasons work all together. Because I've been doing this not for too long, a couple months now, actively in this. But I could say at this point, this is not only how I inform people generally what's going on in the world, but it's also how I keep myself sharp and see how much I can remember, how much information I'm retaining just on the fly. For everybody who lives in the Western Hemisphere, usually we know that there are 12 months in a year. Out of those 12 months, we usually have about 4 seasons: spring, summer, winter, and fall. And if you did your math right, that means about every season is about 3 months or so. What most people don't really know or understand how it correlates astrologically is the reason why we have seasons in the first place, in a bare broken down example, is because the earth doesn't stay still. The earth in itself spins on an axis, which we call the diurnum. And while the earth is spinning, it also spins around the sun, and it takes 360 degrees to go around the sun. That's about 365.2441666 on and on days. Degrees are not days, but that's to tell you how it really converts. Depending on Earth's path, depending on Earth's trajectory, while it's spinning itself and it's spinning around the sun, depending on where we are in that fixed path around the sun, that's where we determine where the seasons are. That's how we determine the seasons. These are where the ideas of solstices come from. It came from us as people looking towards the stars, looking for the heavens, and tracking their movements in our relative position to it. And we realized over countless generations that around certain points in time, we realize that we are moving around the sun. Here on the Western Hemisphere, today, September 22nd, will mark 0 degrees of Libra, which is about where it marks every year, which is the start of the fall season. We've been in winter since Cancer season. Cancer season was the start of, not winter, summer. Now we are currently into the fall season, starting with Libra. So let me give you some keywords on Libra if you don't understand what it is. Libra is ruled by the planet Venus. Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus is commerce. It is nature. It is your environment around you. It is celebrations, events, political figures, politics. It is finances, money of all kinds. all forms of trade. It is beauty. It is art. It is providence, the ability to provide for one, to receive from someone else, to receive from one another. These are all basic keywords that describe Libra, or more specifically, Venus, and Venus in relation to Libra. One big keyword that everybody usually asks in astrology, one big keyword that comes to everybody's mind at some point in astrology is relationships. Is relationships, which is another Venus ruled keyword. Relationship, partnership, marriage, contracts of all kinds. That is all Libra. So if somebody were to ask an astrologer, when am I going to find my partner? Where am I going to find my partner? They would have to look towards your seventh house, which is Venus ruled, and they would have to look to where Venus is actually in your chart. Because all things regarding partnerships and relationships, good or bad, are ruled by Venus. Now, since we are going into Libra season, since now we are currently going into Libra season, does this necessarily mean this is going to be the most relationship focused, commerce focused time of the year? Not necessarily. But I'll tell you exactly how it works. During any time the sun transits into a new sign, if you want to know something specifically, you have to know where the planets are currently in the transiting chart. And since we're on the topic of Libra, I'm going to make this specific broadcast more on Venus. Most astrologers won't tell you this because most of them don't even know it themselves. To get the most accurate results out of defining planets, you must know how to track the planets. You must know their patterns. You must know how a planet moves. A little side topic, but it's going to go back into the main one. Retrogrades, right? You will always have somebody new in the community, new to astrology, always bringing up the idea of retrogrades. And you will also have astrologers always bring up retrogrades and the detriments they could have. Oh, what's a retrograde? A retrograde is basically where during a planet in its motion, in triangulation to the Earth and the Sun, as the planet itself goes around the Sun, the same way the Earth does, during that point in time, it will slow down. It will proverbially slow down in its speed, in its course, relative to other planets in their orbit around the Sun. So I'll give you an example. There are 360 degrees in a chart, 30 degrees in a sign, right? There's 0 degrees to 29 degrees. So let's make it easy. Let's say that's September 22nd, today Libra season, all the way to October 23rd, Scorpio season, right? Just about 31 days. 0 to 30 degrees per sign, 31 days, right? Makes sense, right? Let's say the time it takes for a particular planet to go through and move through that 30 degrees of space over those 31 days of time. During the first 5-10 days ago, it may be moving at 7, maybe 8 degrees per day. It may be moving really, really fast. But over time, in the planet's motion, it may slow down a bit. it may slow down a bit. And other planets in the solar system have their own motions and speeds. So relative to those other planets, it may have been in a point in its rotation where it was moving faster. Sooner or later, it's going to slow down. It's not that the planet stopped moving. It's just that all the other planets in the solar system, or majority of the planets in the solar system, depending if they're not in retrograde themselves, are now moving at a relative rate or speed faster than the original planet. I've heard some astrologers use it or use a racetrack example. It's like in our path around the sun, you're on a racetrack. This planet right here is in the lead. Now it lost speed. Now it's getting tired because it blew out all its energy. Now every other planet who quote unquote saved their energy is now moving past that planet. That other planet is still in the race, but now they're just moving past that planet, and it may take a while before this planet can catch up to them. So if you're on this side of the racetrack and this is where the starting line is, and you're doing half a lap, which would be the other side of the racetrack, by the time those planets who are not in retrograde, for example, are at the other side of the track, it will seem like the original planet is moving backwards. It will seem like that a planet that was once at a certain speed is now moving backwards relative to the other planets. It's not because it's actually moving backwards. In its orbit, it is currently moving at a slower pace relative to its faster pace. A planet can only move so fast, can only move so far between a certain amount of degrees. It would only go as high as this many degrees and as slow as this many degrees in its movement. That's all that a retrograde is. Now, how to tie it all back, right? People need to understand the motions of the planets because retrogrades in themselves don't necessarily mean anything different. Venus retrograde, for example, still only points to Venus keywords. Venus retrograde still only points to Venus keywords. That's a fact. That's a fact. Venus in itself being retrograde does not make sure it will go from pointing from relationship potential to now, since it's in retrograde, it will not point to, for example, the end of a relationship. No, it's not Venus being in retrograde that determines if the relationship is now good or bad. It's Venus and its aspect and the angle that it makes to other planets in a birth chart, to other planets in a casted chart. You can't look at one or two of the planets necessarily in a vacuum. Each and every planet in the solar system gives meaning, gives you a factor that will give you an overall message. You can't sit there and just track one or two planets by themselves and over a year's period of time have 15, 16 different things that happened based on those two planets. No. Everything that you predicted for that planet should have happened because that planet only points to a specific keyword. If something happens that cannot be explained by Venus in conjunction to the sun, you have Venus conjunct the sun. You are actively right now doing something with your partner, or you are consciously aware of relationships going on around you at the current moment. If there is a square, or maybe a square to Uranus, for instance, unpredicted. That's things you cannot predict. You may have gone out and thought, oh, I could get a partner today, or I would be doing something with my partner today. You didn't expect Uranus that when you would go out, it wouldn't be you and your partner or you finding your partner. You would see two people already together in a relationship or in a partnership. You didn't expect that. That's where the other planets come into play. This is why when you read, you need a full or in-depth understanding of all planets. The first thing I would recommend isn't necessarily to just look at the keywords, but don't get it twisted. A higher keyword count will give you more of a fuller understanding. There are many books you could read on the internet. There are many astrologers you can find online if you look hard enough that will go into depths and lengths of teaching how to properly use keywords. But you have to go into depth. If you only know 3 or 4 keywords, if even that much in your head, and you can only look at a birth chart, you're not going to be able to predict pretty much anything with exactness. If you're not bare minimum using an active transit chart that you can look at, you're going to have a very, 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 very difficult time. And I can pretty much guarantee you're going to have like a 97% chance of like giving inaccurate readings, not even just for other people, but for yourself. You need to understand the motions of the planets. If not, you can Google them, look them up. For each and every single planet, look at the motions and how long it takes them to go around the sun. How far do they move during the course of a year? Go around and look for these things. They're going to open your mind to fully understanding that's how a planet, that's how the solar system works. This is how I'm going to give myself a proper reading. Especially if you don't want to go to a seasoned astrologer, you have to be willing to put in the work. This isn't make believe. This is a science. And just like anything else in life, if you really, really want to get the benefits out of it, you have to put in the work to go do it if you really want to. But if not, I would recommend go to a seasoned astrologer to give you an immaculate reading. But you have to know those motions. You have to know how they travel. If you can't sit and see how long it takes for a planet to travel, and I'll tell you right now, it will take time, depending on what you want to look at. There are literally some planets right now, you literally will not live long enough to see them fully go around the zodiac. There are 3 to mind. Well, two in particular. One of them you can get lucky if you live that long. There are 2 planets in particular you will literally not live long enough to see go around the zodiac. You're inhuman if you somehow do that. But there are some planets also that go around. I'm giving you hints. Even as I'm speaking right now, I'm giving you hints. There are some planets you can look around and once a month will go around the zodiac, which means you can look at it once a month for 12 months. You can look at it 12 times in 1 year. But this is the level that most people, most astrologers, when you're just starting off, you're not even going to know what to do. You're not even going to know how to do that. But if you've been doing it for a time or you've been involved in the science for a while, you're going to start asking yourself, can astrology predict this for me? Can astrology predict that for you? And the answer is yes, it can. But most astrologers don't go to that level. Most people you may watch online will tell you, well, the chart can't show you this, the chart can't show you that. No, it's not that the chart can't show you that. They don't know how to find it. because they themselves never went to that level. It's an oversight that most people don't understand. It's an oversight that requires you, once you realize you're making that mistake, and if you truly want to get more accurate, requires you to put in the work and go beyond just simply looking at a first glance at a birth chart or a transiting chart, or even doing a basic composite chart, and requires you to actually go out and find legitimate, accurate science to be able to understand, oh, this is not only how my chart works, this is how the chart works for everybody in the world. This is how reality works. You will have such a more broadened sense of reality. You'll be like superhuman. You'll have eyes that you never thought you'd had before. You'll be able to see things. You'll like new opportunities, things that have always been in your face your entire life. But you didn't know they were there because you just didn't know what to look for. It's like you have you're watching a video and there's like something in the middle of your screen, but everything else is happening around you. Everything else is happening around you. And you can't notice that one thing in front of your face. It's not that it wasn't there. You didn't know to look for it because there was all these other things happening around you in your life. Once you finally see it, you're like, oh, you can catch it now. And everywhere you go, no matter what you do, if somebody were to show you that same video again, you already know it's there. Look at that. Hey, I saw it this time. It's going to happen again. This is what makes people seasoned into astrology. This is what takes astrology out of just being a hobby for some people, for being a slight tool that somebody can use and can really change somebody's life. And with us now being in Libra season, with us now starting to the fall season, this is again the time where most people will be talking about relationships. They will be talking about partnerships. This will be a time where more people are talking about money, income, commerce. They will be talking about nature, events, parties, politicians. I don't know if any of you are big into the internet community space, but right now Mercury, the planet of information, is in Libra. And over this past week, the online website or information about websites and things like that, online blog source, online entertainers have just been going off on websites like Twitch, drama here and there, left and right, da 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 da. Now, Mercury is currently in retrograde, but it's not because of the Mercury retrograde. It's because aspects Mercury is having to planets like Uranus, to planets like Saturn. If you want to understand, companies, huge companies is Twitch. Huge companies is Twitch. Mercury being in a trine to Saturn is information about huge companies that may be or cause difficulty. Mercury having bad aspects to Uranus. Mercury is also employees. Twitch streamers are employees of a big company, Saturn, Twitch. So Mercury being not in retrograde because it currently is in retrograde. It's not because Mercury's in retrograde. It's because Mercury's having a bad aspect. Mercury's currently having a bad aspect to things like Uranus, which is technology, online, networking, all forms of electronics that you can think of, that they're running into so many different problems right now, not only with themselves, but with the company that's supposed to be providing for them. But again, this requires you to have an in-depth understanding of keywords, just knowing more keywords than 3 or 4 of them, just knowing a vast amount of keywords and understanding how planets move, understanding what to look for in not only a transiting chart, how to look for it in your birth chart, and how to cast a progressed chart to know, okay, the sun is currently here. The sun in my natal chart is here. If I do the math, right? If you do the math and you know the formulas, you can reverse engineer and find this is how this specific transit is affecting my life. This is how this specific energy is affecting me, my family, and everything in my environment. Because you can look at a transiting chart, right? And get a general idea of what's happening all around the board, but it won't specifically describe you. I've seen and still listen to some astrologers that use mundane astrology. That's what it's called. When it's general astrology for humanity, it's called mundane astrology. And mundane astrology is what's used for horoscopes and things like that. Horoscopes or general readings that people say, oh, this month Libras will go through this, Libras will go through that. That's mundane astrology for the most part. When it's personalized to the point where you can predict your own chart or you predict people's charts for a living, that's called genethliacal astrology. I'm learning how to currently do both, but I'm right now more interested on genethliacal, and that's why I'm currently studying more how to read into people's personal charts. Because again, if you do have somebody coming at you, or if somebody really wants to know, including me, if I want to know when I have a potential to have Venus relationship or Venus Venus money, when there will be good aspects to have either a relationship or money, I can go see that. If somebody were to ask me, when will I have a next good opportunity for relationships or money? Even though I haven't mastered it yet, I've gotten so good already with just personally seeing it in my life. I can show you or tell you right now, if you were to try to do a financial deal today or tomorrow, within this 45-minute period of time, I'm trying to get it down to the minute. My instructor told me to get it down to the minute. I've already gotten it down to like an hour 30. I can tell you within an hour 30 or so, if you try to go out and do this, you're going to have a good time. If you try to go out and do this, it's not going to work well for you, because it just comes to practice, practice, practice. This is just a notebook I have filled with countless pages of me just doing mathematical equations to understand astrology, to understand how reality works. Again, it's a science that will open your eyes when you see it. Now, I've heard this argument as well. Most people who've become quote unquote rich or famous at some point have never, or for the most part, didn't use astrology or haven't used astrology. Well, that's partially true and that's partially incorrect as well. I'll tell you why. For example, did you know that across history, most political figures, Libra, since we're going to stay on topic, have used astrological principles to predict when to go to war, to have a good time at war, to have a bad time at war? There's a book that I have by the famous Black author, Dick Gregory. He used to be a comedian back in the 60s. You may have heard of him during civil rights. This is before I even knew about astrology like I do now. I was reading through his book. This is a civil rights activist back in the 1960s. He had a section in his book, about 3 pages long, where he said he had a friend of his. He didn't even mention him by name, or if he did, he only did it like one time. He wasn't an important character in his book, in his autobiography, where he mentioned he was sitting in a car with his friend, and his friend told him, don't go to said airport today. The president is going to be there, and he's going to get shot. And Dick Gregory's like, what you mean he's going to get shot? He's like, I read a chart. He's not going to do well today. Later that day went by, and lo and behold, JFK, that was the day JFK went out, took his ride along on in his open car, and he got shot and killed that day. I wasn't even looking for astrology that day, but I found it in a book. This is how it works. It was only 5 seconds in the book. People across history have been using astrology to accurately predict things, to accurately predict how is it going to be for politicians, for themselves, things in situations of all kind. Things in situations of all kind. And I use astrology for what I want to be able to do in my life. Because people need to understand, we are in the age of Aquarius. This is the age of technology. This is the age of innovation. This is the age for rebellions, for freedom to do whatever you want. And lo and behold, the age of Aquarius is also, or let me say it better this way, Aquarius rules astrology. We are in the age of Aquarius. Out of any time that we've known in recent history, this is the time above all where knowing astrology will do you very, very well. If any other time in history, this is a time where astrology will do you very well. This is a time in general where Aquarius, knowledge, Uranus, knowledge. This is a time in general where knowledge is how you will do the best overall, no matter what situation you get into. Knowledge in this period of time, even if you don't want to be an astrologer, will get you through 99% of the things you can be able to do and help you to understand why certain things happen. Help you to understand why certain things happen. Next year, 2023, let's see if I still have the dates on me. I had them written down. I'm gonna see if I have the paperwork still. But next year, around 2023, off the top of my head, I think it was around January or so. Pluto is leaving Capricorn and going into Aquarius. Pluto, if you remember earlier, I was alluding to Pluto. I talked about planets that take so long to go around the zodiac, you will never see them fully go around in your lifetime. Pluto is the longest planet to go around the zodiac. And I'll just tell you outright, it takes about 248 years for Pluto to go around the zodiac. Just about 248 years. And everything I'm telling you right now, you can go find on the internet. I'm not going to leak things that are specific to my craft and my branch and how I learned it, right? I'm just leaking the things that you can find on the internet, right? Pluto is going to be in Aquarius for about 20 to 21 years. So these next 20, 21 years is going to be ruled by Pluto in Aquarius. What are some keywords for Pluto? Pluto is life transference in any form. Is life transference in any form or of any form or variety. All events regarding life, all events regarding death, all events regarding genes, regeneration. It is detective work. It is ceremonial burial techniques. It is power. It is the will. Where there's a will, there's a way. That statement right there, that's Pluto. Now here's a basic delineation for Pluto. Because again, this is the part that almost every astrologer can tell you, or every basic astrologer can tell you off of a basic reading for the world. Some people have been scared these past couple of years of technology and the course it's going. I'm not going to say they were necessarily wrong for that. Pluto is death and or life. Aquarius, ruled by Uranus, right, is technology and humanity. So I gave you 2 words for Pluto just now and 2 words for Aquarius. I'm not going to say it together, but I think you can put 2 and 2 together. But again, Pluto is going to be in Aquarius over the course of 20 years. And there are other planets in the solar system besides just Pluto. And there are other planets that are going through different signs over the course of 20 years. So you don't know when or where anything could happen in terms of society unless you look and you understand the motions of the planets. And you don't know where or when exactly it will affect you in your life unless you know how to take a transiting chart and do the math from it to your actual birth chart and see where you progress to be during said period of time. But that is something that will require hours, if not days, depending on how good you are, worth of work. But something that will take you hours to a couple of days to do will literally give you every event you will ever need to know about society, or everything you would need to know about yourself for the next 20, 21 years, almost exactly to the day. What was my big statement that I was trying to say earlier about Pluto and Aquarius? That I want to see it as, or I see it as for me. Currently, I am going through a Saturn square. Saturn in Aquarius, right? Last time Saturn was in my natal position, it was in Taurus. For me, and what I'm trying to use astrology for is Pluto in Aquarius. To me, I'm trying to make it mean power in knowledge, or knowledge is power. For these next 20 years, a general theme you will find now more than ever is knowledge is power. The ability to get whatever you want, you need to know how things work. And for me in particular, I'm trying to do through my craft, my brand, and everything I want to do to try to help my community or just help people in general is astrology, study of and understanding the sun, moon, and stars, the grand design that the Creator has put us into. Understanding of that and how to work around it, how to apply it, that's going to be power. That's going to be power. That's going to be how it's going to work. But besides that, what else could be going on currently for Libra season? What else is currently going to be going on for Libra season? I'm going to do this a little bit differently. If you are either an air sign, which means Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, if you're an air sign, this is going to be a season that's going to be either a trine or a conjunction for you. Those are generally going to be good aspects. If you don't know your sun degree, go on astro.com or go on astroseek.com, put in your birthday, and put in whatever time of birth you think you are, right? Doesn't have to be too accurate. The only thing you want to pay attention to is your sun sign. If you know you're a Gemini, or if you know you're a Libra, for instance, just look at what your sun sign is and look at what degree the sun sign is at. Look at what degree your sun sign is at. If you're a Gemini, for instance, when the transiting sun, right? Currently, when the transiting sun comes to the same degree as your sun sign, if you're a Gemini, that's going to be a trine position. So you're generally going to have a good day across this month. You generally should have a good day, especially regarding reading, communication, talking, typewriting, information, beneficial information may come to you during this period of time. I don't know where your other planets are, but generally you're going to see something good going to happen to you. Same thing goes for Aquarius. But with Aquarius, if you look at a transiting chart and you see where the sun is going to be today, or where it's going to be on the exact day it hits the same degree as your natal sun, that's going to also be a trine. But for you, it may be beneficial information when it comes to your friends, when it comes to networking. You may be outside that day at a social event, being social that day. You're going to be more involved with technology. You may be actively doing something unique, different, something that only you or very few people know how to do that day. Or you just come into more knowledge. You may go through an experience that lets you know, oh, I finally know how to do this that day. For Libras in themselves, Libra, this is going to be a conjunction for you when you see where it lands. And on a conjunction, those tend to be beneficial aspects. Again, I do not know where all the other planets are on your chart. You may have some squares that day. But genuinely, on that specific day, you will be in a situation or be more into situations that you may see green. You may see this color of green, pineal green, dark green, all different colors of green all around you. You could see, for example, you may be at a park, nature. You may be more beneficial when it comes to your partnerships, relationships. A good day for your relationships, a good day for a party, for an event. It may be even a day where you do some commerce. You may be buying something, selling something. It may be a day with even food in it. Be consciously aware of the things that are happening to you around this day, whatever your sign is. For instance, those were the air signs. Those are going to be the signs in trines or conjunctions. Next sign after air is earth. Earth signs. That's going to be Taurus. That's going to be Virgo. That is going to be Capricorn. Taurus, you are 30 degrees away, 60 degrees away. Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra. Taurus, you are 150 degrees away from Libra. So on the day that where your sun degree is in Taurus, when the degree of the sun in Libra touches the same degree as it is in your natal chart in Taurus, this is going to be a day where you're going to be more active in terms of physical exertion. You may be working out more. If you go to a party or event, they might require you to, for example, work on the party, get things set up for the party, actually put physical exertion, make the food, bring the food, things that require types of physical exertion that a partner may need you to help them with something, and you may actually have to go through that physical exertion to help them, some sort of physical exertion that day. Virgo, this is a 30-degree aspect. This is a karmic aspect. Now, what is karma for y'all who don't understand? I do not necessarily mean karma in the terms of you did wrong to somebody and today's going to be the day you get your comeuppance. Not necessarily karma in that instance. Karma in this instance. Your parents are, for example, African American instead of Asian. You can't change that. That's just how things are. Um, you are you are 5 feet 7 inches. You can't change that. That's how things are. Those are what I mean in terms of karma. So in this day, you might find yourself in a situation where it may involve you being in nature, and in those instances you may be at a memorial, or you may be next to a tree or something that's been around for hundreds of years. You can't change how to some things that, or situations you find yourself in where it may not necessarily be a problem, but you're going to come to an understanding the way things are regarding politics, the way things are regarding um, partnerships, the way things are regarding, you'll come to more of an understanding. This is just how things are for you. This is just how things are going to be. This is how they've always been, and this is how they're going to remain. That's more of a karmic instance. Capricorn, this is going to be a 90-degree aspect for you. This is a challenging aspect. Capricorn, today you may find challenges with your partner. Today you may find challenges with your money. Today you may find challenges with art. Maybe it could be a psychological problem as well. The sun rules the pineal gland. It rules how you perceive yourself in this world, how you consciously find yourself. Venus, ruler of Libra, is beauty. Saturn is discipline. Or challenges. You may find yourself psychologically challenging yourself and how you perceive yourself to look physically. You may think of yourself to be less than subpar, less than more beautiful today. It doesn't necessarily equal something physical in your environment, but it can as well. It could also be something psychological that you may be perceiving, because most astrologers do tend to like lean towards the psychological aspect of astrology. I lean more towards the actual physical aspect, but then also add the psychological on top of it, because you can't get rid of both. And you can't get rid of one, you need both. So everything I would say regarding Venus so far, you would see sort of a difficulty today, or someday, or this day, you will have to challenge your discipline, challenge your patience regarding money, partnerships, relationships in that aspect, right? That's what the earth signs. After earth is water signs. Cancer, this is going to be a 60-degree aspect for you. Look at where your degree is for your sun in Cancer, and wait until the day in Libra this season where the sun is going to come over that exact same part. Or since it's Libra season and we're talking about Venus, and this is the beauty of astrology, if you want to, this is a little bit extra, but if you want to, look at where the sun is. Just, I'm making it easy for you. Look at where your sun is, where the degree is, and look at either where the sun is going to be today in Libra, or to get the same results that I'm telling you, look at where Venus is. Wait until your sun crosses the same degree as the sun in the transiting sky, and look at where your sun is, and look where it crosses for Venus as well, if you want some of the same results. Cancer, this is going to be more social time for you. This is going to be more of a social time for you. And what I just said applies to every sign if you want to go try that. But depending on where Venus is in your chart is going to be a different aspect to where the sun is. But you're going to see general Venus based things because it's the same keywords. it will just give you more detail or more of a layer of how is going on. This is why, I stress you got to know your entire chart. This is going to be a more social aspect. You may be at a celebration with your friends. You may be talking to your partner today, being more communicative with your partner today. This could be you're going to a social gathering and you may buy something that day. You may be at a social gathering and there may be a lot of food in the area, things of that nature. In nature, at a party, just more of a social day where you're going to be out communicating and be with more around people. Then we're going to go to Scorpio. Scorpio, this is also going to be a 30-degree aspect for you, another karmic aspect, because right after Libra is Scorpio. But in this instance, Libra is your 12th house. If you put Scorpio on the rising, right after Scorpio, the second house would be Sagittarius. But that means if Scorpio is on the rising, the 12th house of Scorpio is going to be Libra. How does Libra work as the 12th house? Well, I have to explain to you what the 12th house is and give you some keywords on what the 12th house means. The 12th house is hidden, secret, private. It can also mean your undoing, your haters. It is fantasy, beliefs, things you are not really sure about, the unknown. That is what the 12th house, that is what Neptune, that is what Pisces all give indication to. So Scorpio, being in your 12th house, the sun being in your 12th house, you may be private during that day where the sun touches your natal degree. You may be more private that day. You may be at a religious event or ceremony that day. You may be born to your beliefs or imagination. You may be unsure of something. You may be unsure of something that's happening to you that day. Some sort of thing regarding music as well. You may be at an event and you may hear music blasting. You may be at an event where everybody's practicing yoga, meditation, silence. You may be at a religious event. Scorpios tend to be more religious as well because they have Pisces, again, the 12th house. They have Pisces in their 5th house, the house of love. So Scorpios tend to, at some point in their life, have an infatuation with beliefs, religion, all things of that nature. So again, having the sun being in your 12th house is the same thing as saying Leo, which rules the sun, in the 5th house, or Pisces being the 5th house, is the same thing as saying the sun in the 12th house. So this may be a day, again, where you are more religious. You're going out to an event, you and a partner, you may find a partner today or be with your partner today in a tranquil space, silent space. You may be with your partner in private, talking to your partner, counting money, doing something with money, eating food in private, in your room, bedroom, doing something, listening to music in the bathroom. If you shower with music on, something as small as that also counts as well for you that day. More privacy. When I talked about Virgo and the karmic aspect there, because the 12th house is also karma. Libra is Virgo's second house, which is Taurus. The second house is Taurus, and Taurus rules Libra. So there's that dichotomy there as well. When it's a 30-degree aspect from your 12th house, it is more regarding your beliefs in private situations. When it's a 30-degree aspect to your second house, for instance, it is going to be more of a karmic situation, a moral situation, a more of an understanding of this is how the world works for you. This is how the world works for you, and all of these different situations are things I cannot change and have come to define you. So a 30-degree aspect can tell two similar stories, but from different aspects. One, how you believe, and one, how things actually are. Next, you go to Pisces. Pisces. Libra is going to be your Libra. After Libra is Sagittarius. After Sagittarius is Capricorn. After Capricorn is Aquarius. Oh, after Aquarius is Pisces. So wait. This for you is going to be a 150-degree aspect as well. It's going to be a 150-degree aspect. Like I said earlier, for which specific sign? I think I said might have said for Taurus. I might have said it for Taurus. If not, yes, for Taurus as well. This is going to be a day for Pisces where you're going to be more at physical exertion. Being more in a day of physical exertion regarding how you may interact with your partner, your money, somebody. If you have a family member who's into politics in the government, they work for a governmental branch, they may need you to do something for them that day. This is something regarding food. Pisces, this being your Libra would have to be your, which house would Libra be for you, Pisces? Libra would be your 8th house, because your 7th house is Virgo. So Libra is your 8th house. So this is more of obsession. It's going to be physical exertion in terms of money, in terms of partnerships, but you're going to be more obsessive today. You may have power, because the 8th house is also Pluto, which is also the 8th house is also Pluto, which is also Scorpio. And since Libra sits on your 8th house, you may be exerting your force, exerting will to get your way. You may be exerting force so you can have power over somebody, power over a situation. Somebody may have said no to you today or said you can't do this, and be like, if I want to do it, I can do it. If I believe in myself and I say I can do it today. And you're going to put in a lot of work and effort to get what you want. You're obsessing over something that day. When the sun, again, the same degree as your natal sun in Pisces, will hit that degree in Libra. Now, I did water signs, so I did air, earth, and water. Now we're finally on the fire signs. Fire signs. Aries. Libra is going to be, and Libra is in a 180-degree aspect to you. This is your opposite sign. Like a square, this can be a challenging aspect. But 180 degrees away, the opposite sign for somebody is not only a challenging sign. This can also be a sign for partnerships. Aries is the primary first house. Spring season starts in Aries. So the natural 7th house, the natural Venus house, the natural Libra house is going to be Libra. Is going to be, yes, Libra. So that is the natural 180-degree aspect. Venus rules the 180-degree aspect. So this can be a challenging time, but it could also be a time where it has something to do with you with a partner of some kind. It doesn't necessarily mean romantic, but this could be a time to, again, I am only telling you how to look for or what to look for in your sun sign. There are 9 other planets and 3 other aspects to take into consideration. So I'm not going to know exactly what is happening for you, but on that day, you can for a fact be consciously aware of things happening regarding these subjects. This is going to be a day where where you could be involved with some sort of a partnership, some sort of discussion, a back and forth. Could be challenging as well regarding income, buying and selling something, businesses, if you're a part of any. It could be, in a sense, also for, you may find something about the news, a new law may have been passed that may affect you, that you may have a challenge with, or a law or something that you cannot benefit from, you have to work towards with a partnership. In that regard or sense, this is also a time where, for example, you could be at a celebration as well. And if you're at said celebration, it can be challenging, or you may run into a potential partner that day. These are all potential things that can happen. Now we have Leo. Leo, this, you're in a 60-degree aspect to Libra. Libra is going to be Leo's third house. It's going to be Leo's third house. On this day, Leo, you may be socially involved with third house related things, which is Mercury, which is siblings, younger siblings. It is going to be your neighbors. It's going to be your cousins. You may be social and talking with your neighbors, your cousins today, and you may be talking with them at a party, at a social event. You may be talking with them or discussing with them something regarding money, income, food will be involved in some way as well. In this instance, it is also going to be in nature. Y'all could be at a family event or a gathering of some kind, but it's going to involve younger siblings, cousins, your neighbors. You may go outside, and while you're going outside, you may strike up a conversation, Mercury, third house, with a neighbor. These are all things that can possibly happen that day. And finally, Sagittarius. Sagittarius. When it comes to Libra, Libra is going to be Libra, Scorpio, that is also a 60-degree aspect. Is also going to be a 60-degree aspect. Having a 60-degree aspect again, but this time it is not third house. And I hope you all are understanding. There are 360 degrees in the chart. 180 degrees is half the chart. You're only going to have one sign, depending on what sign you are. For your sun sign and your rising, you're only going to have one sign that is going to be the exact opposite of yours. After that sign, you have 150 degrees going one way, back to the other side of 180, which is going to be your natal sign, and 150 degrees going back the other way, back to your opposite sign. And if you can understand, so that will mean you're going to have two 30-degree aspects, two 60-degree aspects, two 90-degree aspects. Well, no, you actually have three 90-degree aspects. 30, yep, you have three 90-degree aspects. You have three 120-degree aspects, and you have two 150-degree aspects. Two 150-degree aspects directly from your sign. 90 degrees this way. No, actually, you do have two 90-degree aspects. The third 90-degree aspect is a 180-degree trine, and the third 120 is just a conjunction again. This is why I say a conjunction and a trine are somehow are sometimes considered the same thing. And this is why I said when it comes to a square and an opposition, they're sometimes considered the same thing as well. But you will have two of everything and only one direct opposition. And if you understand what that means signs have common affinity. One thing you can say about one sign, you can generally say the same thing about the other. So when I mentioned Leos having a 60-degree aspect to their third house being Mercury, they have also a 60-degree aspect to their 11th house, which is Aquarius. Well, the 11th house is ruled by Aquarius, but the 11th house for Sagittarius, the 11th house for Leo in this instance, the third house for Leo is Libra. Their 11th house is going to be Gemini. But in this instance, we're talking about Sagittarius right now. Sagittarius, your 11th house, because your 12th house is Scorpio, and before Scorpio is Libra, your 11th house is going to be Libra. How does the 11th house work in dichotomy to third house? So while third house Mercury is younger siblings, 11th house Aquarius is elder siblings, uncles, aunts. So where Mercury is younger siblings, cousins, neighbors, Aquarius is elder siblings, uncles, aunts, and your friends. Understand the dichotomy between all of these signs. Understand the dichotomy and the polarities between the signs. And that's what people mean when they say there are really quote unquote only 6 signs, just different polarities. That's what they mean. I still say there are 12 signs because there obviously are 12 signs, but that's what they mean. There are polarity between the signs. So Sagittarius, this is going to be a day where you are communicating with elder siblings. You're going to be out with friends socially. You're going to be networking. You may be being more eccentric that day socially in an environment, at probably a party, regarding money, at a restaurant, at a grocery store. More keywords I'm throwing at you for Libra, Venus. Grocery store, at a place regarding food, not cooking per se, not cooking. Cooking is the moon. Food is Mercury. Food is Venus. This is going to be a day again where you're going to be social more with, again, friends. You may be at a party. You may be listening to a news report on the TV, which is an electronic. You may be listening to a politician say something which will encourage you to say something. You may hear a new law being passed, which will require you to be social with friends, will require you to be social with elder siblings, or with your uncles and aunts, things of that nature and account. Again, it could also be about laws. It could be about your money situation and just being more social around those things. And that was a basic breakdown of all 12 charts. Again, this is how you're going to see it based on your sun sign. This is on your sun sign. This is to give people a basic understanding if they want to see for themselves if astrology is real or not. You doing this isn't going to necessarily make you an astrologer, but it's going to prove what I'm saying without a shadow of a doubt. It's going to prove that these things can happen to you over your life, and these things are observable. You can see the phenomena. You can see the blessings that the grand creator has put for you in this world. You can see the obstacles that the grand creator has said will come your way, so you can brace yourself toward them and embrace this life. This is how it plays out. These are how things play out. And as I currently get better myself at my craft, sooner or later I'm going to be able to do full readings. But besides full readings, I want to be more practical with this science, in terms of I want to know where and when exactly I'm going to be able to make posts that attract more people. I want to know where and when I can go to get a larger audience. I want to know where and when I can be more active per se in starting meetups and events, greetings, things like that. But these are all things you need to practice, wait, and see, because they are possible. They are 100% possible. First thing you must realize first, that you can see it. Once you realize you can see it, then you know you can do it. And once you know you have a possibility to do it, it's just nothing but practice and timing. Do the math, calculate the proper chart, right place, right time, every single time. Right place, right time, every single time. then you're going to have the ability to do whatever you want. Any area in your life you're lacking, you're going to know why you're lacking in that area, and you're going to know where and exactly when you're going to have an opportunity to make up for it. Anything. If you put your mind to it and you put in the work to go see it, you're going to have an exact answer of how to go get it. Stay tuned before the next couple of months. I plan to blow this channel up, and if not this channel, make a new one, but specifically for astrology, and let y'all know about it and start all over again. And I'm going to most definitely get out some readings as well too. But this is Chris is here. 100 Agency for now. Catch y'all next time.